Let's say hello to YouTube. Say hello. You camera shy? Huh? You camera shy? Are you camera shy, little baby? Camera shy? She's camera shy. Alright, she's out. She's leaving. She's leaving us now, boys. She's leaving. Ow, down my back. What's going on, YouTube? Too Sketchy coming at you. We're gonna be taking a look at the Rusviet unit, but I figured I should show you our newest addition to the family. A stray cat that we found a couple of weeks ago. Her name is Diana. We've been taking care of her. She's healthy. She's good. And yeah, I figured you should know. Also, yes, I haven't had my Corona haircut yet, so it's a bit wild and crazy. So disregard that. Let's get this going, shall we?
Iron Harvest is an alternative take on the history of the 1920s. Taking inspiration from this time of industrial change, Iron Harvest's fictional states and characters find themselves in the aftermath of the Great War. Huge diesel-fueled machines, invented to serve humanity, have only lifted warfare to another level, and mankind has had to realize that the war that was supposed to end all wars has ended nothing. The Rusviet Empire, ruled by Tsar Nikolai, is a huge nation far beyond its zenith. Social injustice has created rising tensions between the different classes, and the Great War nearly tipped the country into chaos and revolution. Only the ongoing conflict with their neighbors Polania and Saxony is keeping the kingdom from falling apart. Some say that there are hidden powers trying to keep the conflict burning. The Rusviet philosophy of mech construction is to forge metal monsters, neither aiming for superior speed nor technology, but instead drawing from the rich resources of their giant empire to force their opponents to their knees. But that method of wasteful construction is getting more and more problematic, as the rivalry for these rare goods is one of the reasons for the conflict itself. The SHM-69 SERP best illustrates Rusviet's philosophy. With heavy armor like this, it's easy to bring knives to a gunfight. It's a blood-curdling sound when these huge sickles crash into each other. Yes, it's slow, and yes, it might take several hits until it comes into striking range, but when that happens, the opponents mostly regret having chosen to go toe-to-toe. With one heavy stroke, the sickles cut through steel like butter, and it accepts no obstacle in its way. The SHM-60 Groza is the polar opposite. The preferred shock trooper of the Tsar is the fastest Rusviet unit. Even more, with its rocket jump ability, it is one of the most mobile units in the game, and always good for a bad surprise. Especially when calling in their airborne brothers out of the blue. Fast in or fast out, these weakly armored exoskeletons are a problem for everyone without battlefield awareness. But enough about melee units. For the SHM-68 Nakovalnya, only a distant target is a good target. It is basically a rocket phalanx on two huge wheels. Its salvo covers a huge area with a lethal hailstorm of rockets. Who needs precision when you can fire dozens of rockets within seconds? Unfortunately, the Nakovalnya is very slow and vulnerable if the enemy gets close. So it's best if they operate in the back line, well guarded by their comrades. Olga Morozova is a Rusviet operative working tirelessly to protect the Tsar and Mother Rusviet from internal and external threats. On the back of her Siberian tiger, Changa, she is able to quickly get behind enemy lines and take out critical targets. In silence, she is a stealthy and deadly unit that can wreak havoc among infantry up close with her blade and with her MP in mid-range. And she has even more tricks up her sleeve. If Olga is around, no one should feel safe. The Rusviet army is suffering from great losses. Many men have died in the ongoing skirmishes, and the Rusviet people are starting to question the motives of that conflict. Long Live the Tsar is still echoing in the streets, but dissatisfaction is growing among the people now that the outside threat is becoming more and more eliminated.
Let's talk about this.
And harvest.
Let's talk about this Iron Harvest shenanigans going on right now. I'm so excited though. Let's turn this guy down. All right, so there's a few things we need to talk about, right? So there's 2 mechs right here. I don't think none of these are playable. It's in multiplayer, maybe in campaign, but this one, the tall one, was revealed, I don't know, a month or 2 ago. It's kind of like a mech NPC sort of, where it's a woodcutter. It takes trees and cuts them up. I think that's a mech back here too. It kind of looks like the Ugni semi-constructed without its shell. Not really sure. Also, cat furball or something in my mouth. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Obviously, Polania Mocna getting set up and get ready to bombard, which by the way, Rusviet's OP. I'm gonna tell you right now, Rusviet's OP, and I'll show you exactly why, and I'll explain it in a little bit. However, there's a little lore going on here in the beginning, right? It seems like the Rusviets are having somewhat of an internal struggle going on, where some people are chanting the Tsar, some people are rebelling against it. He explains it really well here. However, there's this underlying tone of how Rusviets work. So they're not fast, they're not too strong, but they are seeking all these resources to be able to build these monstrosities, right? And that's where the eternal conflict, I guess, occurs, where these resources are very, very limited. The environment, by the way, it looks amazing. So Rusviet's unit lineup, right? Which I think is funny, because if you watch one of my spotlight videos, this is exactly how I introduced the units lined up like this. So we have the Kolko, Ogni, the whatever, the Nagan, and Serp, and then last but not least, pretty much Russia on legs. Like that. I mean, that's like the hammer and anvil of it all, right? I thought it was funny that they're doing the same setup as me, huh? All right. Anyways, Serp. So the Serp. Let's just pause this real fast. The Serp was the thing that we talked about when we discovered him during the campaign playthrough a couple of months ago, where it was a surprise to us all. It came out of nowhere, just like this is huge but unconventional method of striking other mechs purely in melee. It does have a little machine gun here, which I don't expect it to do much damage, but hey, it's there, you know. So the thing that got my attention, obviously all of us right here, a little bit weird slow motion going on, boom, that. Let's talk about that for a second. I think that ability is going to be something that's going to help it close that gap where it has to be in melee, otherwise it's useless. My guess is, just theory crafting here, it hits its sickles together, right? And then the mechs that are affected by it are either stunned or slowed down, just for it to be able to catch up and close that gap. Now another question is, what is that threshold of him actually attacking it? What if I'm retreating my unit just out of that area? Is it still going to attack my unit? Is, you know, hitting the ground, and am I still going to be taking damage, or is he actually going to lunge that extra bit forward? So it's I'm really curious to how that's going to go. On the bottom down here, you can see several units of Rusviets. We have the hero mech, the Russia on legs, that, and then some grenadiers. And then one of the main reasons I'm gonna guess that Rusviets are gonna be OP is just because, oh my god, I love it. I actually do love it, but the fact that they're so fast. They're so fast. They seem fast. This exoskeleton, right, is going to be an issue, because there's several maps, a lot of maps actually, that are vertical, and there are several instances where you're going to buy a shit ton of time just avoiding going around, because everyone's pretty much slow. Mechs are slow, you know, units are somewhat slow, but for him to be able to traverse land, you can see it perfectly here. And there's a 3v3 map where there's a flat cannon on one side, and if you have that cannon, not only do you pretty much win your side, but also you have the whole lookout on the entire lane of the map, and you're pretty much covering another flag. These guys are going to do such good work in comparison to the Eisenhans, which is just a mortar unit, right? And I guess even the Piranha exoskeleton, but for him to be able to cover that much ground, I don't know the damage yet, what they're going to be outputting, but it's going to be annoying to deal with, because remember, exoskeletons can also capture points. So you're going to be chasing these guys down, they're going to be harassing points, they're going to find ways. Listen, they're like the assault marines with jetpacks back in Dawn of War 3. I know not a lot of people played it, but they did that a lot, right? They would cover ground, capture something, leave, and just harass you constantly, and you'd have to put something there to be able to deal with it. And even the ones that you put there aren't strong enough to deal with that, because their damage output was insane. They're melee, right? So anything that's ranged is going to lose that fight. It's going to be really interesting to see who can actually fight against that, if it's exoskeleton versus exoskeleton, if that's going to be an even fight. But again, everyone is slow, except these guys. These guys can cover a lot of ground. Anyways, just talking about this one, I forgot the name of it already, but we've seen this one before in a campaign. It does a decent amount of damage. It's not as accurate as you can tell. He is pretty much just like blasting, giving some AoE damage, but it's killing a few units here and there. But they did mention that, you know, it doesn't do so well up close. So best to believe that once you see one of these on the battlefield, it's going to be the main target you're going to be focusing. You don't even care about the Ogni's fire. You're just going to be rushing just like the Saxony troops there and try to hunt this thing down. Anyways, so Olga and Changa. Super interesting. One of our first kind of a hero spotlight, where it's funny how she's mounted on him too. If we go back, she has both her legs like on the side of the tiger, I guess for a quick dismount, whatever. This is interesting because we haven't really seen heroes, right, in like multiplayer and how they're going to play out. But essentially, I have this cat hair everywhere right now. Playing the theme right here, right? Changa. Essentially, Olga seems to be a unit that can combine into one, transport herself with the tiger, dismount, go melee, also use her machine pistol, also put down dynamite, also go stealth. How many abilities does this woman have? Well, how much damage does that TNT do? There's Anna, right? She controls her bear, tells her to go, come back, and can shoot people. That's about it. Olga, on the other hand, yeah, she got a nice butt. But also, yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see. There's a lot of utility coming out of that hero. Now the damage, we don't know the damage yet. You know, we have to see the damage. But for TNT to come down, I mean, listen, you can put down a mine, right, with a unit, with an engineer, and that mine has an area of effect. It can follow units if it gets close enough and does a decent amount of damage. But for TNT, that's gonna hurt, right? And that's probably going to be a cooldown. It's not gonna be a resource. So you're gonna see a few of those. And is that TNT something that you can trigger? Is that TNT something that's proximity based? Is it only for mechs? Is it for units? Can I put it near a building? You know, there's a lot of questions to be asked here. However, we are gonna get Rusviet in our hands really soon, about like this weekish, end of the week, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. You better believe I'm going to be probably strictly going versus AI, just so I can get a hold and touch and just feel them out, see how Rusviets do. And I'm gonna upload all those games so you guys could get first sight and get acquainted with Rusviets. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Not too long, not too short. And I'll see you guys next time. Alright, see you, Sketchy out. Peace!